Welcome to the Cabinet of Curiosities of Citizen K. Every cinematographer has plenty of gear on his shelves, covered with dust and interesting stories. Let me tell you some of mine. I bought this several years ago, thinking they have a standard array rosette mounting. But unfortunately, when it arrived, I found out that they have the Sony FS7 rosette mount that is compatible only with this camera. I had no idea what to do, as living in Russia there was no option to return it back, it would cost more than buying another one. So I went to my friendly rental and offered its tech director to buy these grips. He looked at it and said, "No, we don't need it." But then he said, "Wait, would you like to join our new YouTube channel?" And that's how I became one of the founders of this rentals YouTube channels. Unfortunately, it was launched just 6 years ago, but I'm happy that I was there at the beginning. I was a frequent guest of the rental I mentioned above, and once, 5 or 6 years ago, on my birthday, they held the presentation of the Red Ranger camera that just arrived to their rental. There was a sale of the used gear, and as I had a birthday I was offered a great discount on this. They used TV Logic 56. Almost the same that I had, but it had some issues on the display. Anyway, this display worked so much with me on various projects for many years, but this one was not the first of a kind. The first one I bought for my Blackmagic 4K production was a Lilliput display. Despite of his name, it was too big and heavy. I worked on one documentary film with it, and it was terrible. That's why I switched it to another TV Logic, brand new. But the Lilliput also served me and lots of indie directors whom I offered it on sets via SDI cable and a heavy V-mount battery. But they were happy to carry this, as monitoring the actual signal on an indie set was a privilege years ago. Back in 2013, I've been working on Russian TV. That time it was not a complete propaganda yet. Together with my colleague, one day we both bought Blackmagic cameras when they were first launched. I chose the production 4K version and he got the Pocket. That time it was really pocket-sized, so I borrowed it several times to shoot my documentary thesis at film school. I even chosen for it the Kinor 10-100 lens, as a zoom lens is a perfect match for documentary filmmaking. Years have passed, and for a YouTube project I needed a big camera. So I called my colleague, ex-colleague at that time, who became an editor in the movie industry, and asked him if he still has this pocket camera and if he is eager to sell it to me. The answer was yes. And now I have this camera. And the lens that I kept still serves. 15 years ago, it was just old, rusty Soviet lens. And now, both the lens and the camera are vintage. Another item without any interesting story behind them. Just the first video on my YouTube channel. The link is in the description. My previous camera, Blackmagic Production 4K, was a perfect one, except one issue. When shooting log, it outputted the grayish log image on the SDI. All the directors and producers I worked with wanted the bright, colorful Rec 709 image on their displays. I had to choose a lot box, but all the lot boxes were pretty expensive. That's why I found this. Actually, this is not a lot box. This is the SDI to HDMI converter from Blackmagic. But you can upload the lot that will be applied to the loop SDI out. That's how I worked on lots of commercial projects with the camera that cannot output plots via SDI. This is the most mysterious piece of gear I have in my shelf. I have no idea when and why did I buy it. Probably it was a part of a kit, and actually it looks like a Manfrotto tripod plate, but it doesn't fit into Manfrotto tripod base. The next one is probably the least ethical exhibit of my Cabinet of Curiosities collection. It was made by a Russian artisan with a CNC machine who knew nothing and thought nothing about legal issues and patents. He just copied some other manufacturers' products. Cut. He just copied the other brand's products. I'm not sure if it would be ethical to sell it. Let me know what do you think in comments. Buying this thing was my first experience with cargo freights and logistics. It arrived in a wooden box, and all the way home from the warehouse I was thinking, is there really the same model and the same condition I've ordered? It was. Another fun fact about this mixing console is that when a very talented musician came to my place, he said, "Wow, I have exactly the same console." I have no idea, but maybe this coincidence became the fundament of our further friendship and lots of projects we worked on together. Hope we'll work on further projects. Yes, Max, I'm talking to you. I'm waiting. Thank you for traveling down the memory lane with me and attending my Cabinet of Cinematographer's Curiosities. But actually, that's all about that. I'm moving to Serbia soon, and I'd be glad to take with me all the memories, but not all the gear. So if you're in Tbilisi or going to buy anything of this via eBay, feel free to text me. I'll be glad if all these things will find the new loving owners. That's it for today. Love your craft, use your gear, not vice versa.